Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Today we're hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 10, Chapter 9, Text 19. Chapter 10, Chapter 9, Text 19. O Maharaja Parikshit, this entire universe, with its great, exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra, is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attributes. He comes under the control of his devotees. This was now exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This pastime of Krishna's is very difficult to understand, but devotees can understand it. It is therefore said, Darshayam Tad Vidam Loka Atmano Bhakta Vas Sayatam Vasayatam. The Lord displays the transcendental attribute of coming under the control of his devotees. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 5.35, Ekopi aso uchaitam jagad anda utim. Yet Shakir asti jagad anda shaya yad anta andantara sta paramano jayantara stam govindam adipurusham samaham bhajami. By his one plenary worship as Paramatma, the Lord controls innumerable universes with all their demigods, yet he agrees to be controlled by a devotee. Interesting. In the Upanishads, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can run with more speed than a monk. But here we see that although Krishna wanted to avoid being arrested by his mother, he was finally defeated, and Mother Yasoda captured him. Lakshmi Sahasra Satasam Brahma Sevyamanam. Krishna is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Nonetheless, he steals butter like one who is poverty-stricken. Yamaraja, the controller of all living entities, fears the order of Krishna. Yet, Krishna is afraid of his mother's stick. These contradictions cannot be understood by one who is not a devotee. But a devotee can understand how powerful is unalloyed devotional service to Krishna. It is so powerful that Krishna can be controlled by an unalloyed devotee. This Vritya Vasyata does not mean that he is under the control of the servants. Rather, he is under the control of the servants, your love. In Bhagavad Gita 1:21, it is said that Krishna became the chariot driver of Arjuna. Arjuna ordered him, Senayor Uvayor Madhye Pratam Sthapan Ayam Me Shuta. My dear Krishna, you have agreed to be my charioteer and to execute my orders. Place my chariot between the two armies of soldiers. Krishna immediately executed this order. And therefore, one may argue that Krishna also is not independent. But this is one's ajnana, ignorance. Krishna is always fully independent. When he becomes subordinate to his devotees, this is a display of Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, the humor of transcendental qualities that increases his transcendental pleasure. Everyone worships Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he sometimes desires to be controlled by someone else. Such a controller can be no one else but a pure devotee. Okay, it is. Text 20. Neither Lord Brahma, nor Lord Shiva, nor even the goddess of fortune, who is always the better half of the Supreme Lord, can obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead the deliverer from this material world, such mercy as received by Mother Yasoda. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a comparative study between Mother Yasoda and the other devotees of the Lord. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 5:142, Ekale Ishvara Krishna, Ara Sabha Pritya. The only Supreme Master is Krishna, and all others are his servants. Krishna has the transcendental quality of Pritya, Vasita, becoming subordinate to his Pritya or servants. Now, although everyone is Pritya, and although Krishna has the quality of becoming subordinate to his Pritya, the position of Mother Yasoda is the greatest. Lord Brahma is Pritya, a servant of Krishna, and he is Adi Kavi, the original creator of this universe. Tene Brahma Daya Adikavaye. Nonetheless, even he could not obtain such mercy as Mother Yasoda. As for Lord Shiva, he is the topmost Vaishnava. Vaishnavananam Yata Sambhu. What to speak of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva? The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is the Lord's constant companion in service, since she always associates with his body. But even she could not get such mercy. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was surprised, thinking, what did Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaja do in their previous lives by which they got such great opportunity, the opportunity to be the affectionate father and mother of Krishna. Wow. Okay. Second. In this verse, there are three negative pronouncements. Na, na, na. When anything is uttered three times, do it, do it, do it. One should understand that this is meant to indicate great stress on a fact. In this verse, we find na, le na, le na, le. Yet Mother Yashoda is in the supermost exalted position, and thus Krishna has become completely subordinate to her. The word vimukti is also submitted. There are different types of liberation, such as sayuja, salokya, sarupya, shasti, and samipya. But vimukti means special mukti. When after liberation, one is situated on the platform of prema bhakti, one is said to have achieved vimukti, special mukti. In other words, special liberation. Therefore, the word na is mentioned. That exalted platform of prema is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as prema kumarto mahan. And Mother Yasoda naturally acts in such an exalted position in loving affairs. She is therefore Nitya Siddha devotee, an expression of Krishna's Iladini potency. His potency is to enjoy the transcendental bliss through expansions, who are special devotees. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavita B. Such devotees are not Sadhana Siddha. Text 21. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, the son of Mother Yasoda, is accessible to devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service. But he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the soul. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of Mother Yasoda, is very easily available to devotees, but not to tapasvis, yogis, jnanis, and others who have a bodily concept of life. Although they may sometimes be called Santa Bhaktas, real bhakti begins with Dasya Rasa. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.11, Ye yatamam papadyante tanstutaya vajamyaham namavartanavartam te manusya parthasarvasa. As living entities surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. O son of people, everyone is seeking Krishna. where he is the super soul of all individual souls. Everyone loves his body and wants to protect it because he is within the body as the soul. And everyone loves the soul because the soul is part and parcel of the supreme super soul. Therefore, everyone is actually seeking to achieve happiness by reviving his relationship with the super soul. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedya. By all the Vedas, it is I who am to be known. Therefore, the karmis, jnanis, yogis, and saintly persons are all seeking Krishna. But by following in the footsteps of devotees who are in a direct relationship with Krishna, especially the inhabitants of Vrindavana, one can reach the supreme position of associating with Krishna. As it is said, Vrindavanam Parityajya Padam Ekam Na Gachati. Krishna does not leave Vrindavana even for a moment. The Vrindavana Vasis, Mother Yasoda, Krishna's friends, and Krishna's conjugal lovers, the younger gopis with whom he dances, have very intimate relationships with Krishna. And if one follows in the footsteps of these devotees, Krishna is available. Although the Nitya Siddha expansions of Krishna always remain with Krishna, if those engaged in sadhana siddhi follow in the footsteps of Krishna's Nitya Siddha associates, such sadhana siddhas also can easily attain Krishna without difficulty. But there are those who are attracted to bodily concepts of life. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, for example, have very prestigious positions, and thus they have the sense of being very exalted Ishwaras. In other words, because Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are Luna avatars and have exalted positions, they have some small sense of being like Krishna. But the pure devotees who inhabit Vrindavana do not possess any bodily conceptions. They are fully dedicated to the service of the Lord in sublime affection. Prema. Prema means pure love. She, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has therefore recommended Prema Kumarto Mahan. The highest perfection of life is prema, pure love in relationship with Krishna. And Mother Yasoda appears to be the topmost of the devotees who have attained this perfection. Text 22. While Mother Yasoda was very busy with household affairs, the Supreme Lord Krishna observed twin trees known as Yamala Arjuna, which in a former millennium had been the demigod sons of Kuvera. Text 23. In their former birth, these two sons, known as Malakuvera and Mani Gariba, were extremely opulent and fortunate, but because of pride and false prestige, they did not care about anyone. And thus Nanda Muni, Narada Muni, sorry, and thus Narada Muni cursed them to become trees. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 10th canto, 9th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Mother Yasoda binds Lord Krishna. Okay, now we go on to chapter 10, the deliverance of the Yamala Arjuna trees. This chapter describes how Krishna broke the twin Arjuna trees, from which Nalakuvara and Manigriva, the sons of Kubera, then came out. Nalakuvara and Manigriva were great devotees of Lord Shiva, but because of material opulence, they became so extravagant and senseless that one day they were enjoying with naked girls in a lake and shamelessly walking here and there. Oh, what a mistake that is. Suddenly, Narada Muni passed by, but they were so maddened by their wealth and false prestige that even though they saw Narada Muni present, they remained naked and were not even ashamed. In other words, because of opulence and false prestige, they lost their sense of common decency. Of course, it is the nature of the material qualities that when one becomes very much opulent and in terms of wealth and prestigious position, one loses one's sense of etiquette and does not care about anyone, even a sage like Narada Muni. For such bewildered persons, ahankara vimudda, who especially deride devotees, the proper punishment is to be again stricken with poverty. The Vedic rules and regulations prescribe how to control the false sense of prestige by the practice of yama, niyam, and so on. Tapasya brahmacharyena samena cha damena cha. A poor man can be convinced very easily that the prestige of an opulent position in this material world is temporary, but a rich man cannot. Therefore, Narada Muni set an example by cursing these two persons, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, to become dull and unconscious like trees. This was a fit punishment. But because Krishna is always merciful, even though they were punished, they were fortunate enough to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Therefore, the punishment given by Vaishnavas is not at all punishment. Rather, it is another kind of mercy. By the curse of the Devarsi, Nalakuvara and Manigriva became twin Arjuna trees and remained in the courtyard of Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj waiting for the opportunity to see Krishna directly. Lord Krishna, by the desire of his devotee, uprooted these Yamala Arjuna trees, and when Nalakuvara and Manigriva were thus delivered by Krishna after 100 years of the devas, their old consciousness revived, and they offered Krishna prayers suitable to be offered by demigods. Having thus got the opportunity to see Krishna face to face, they understood how merciful Narada Muni was, and therefore they expressed their indebtedness to him and thanked him. Then, after circumambulating the Supreme Krishna, Godhead Krishna, they departed for their respective abodes. Text number 1. King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, O great and powerful saint, what was the cause of Nalakuvara's and Manigriva's having been cursed by Narada? What did they do that was so abominable that even Narada, the great sage, became angry at them? Kindly describe this to me. Now that's very wonderful. One second. Text 2 and 3. Sukadeva Goswami said, O King Parikshit, because the two sons of Kuvera had been elevated to the association of Lord Shiva, of which they were very much proud, they were allowed to wander in a garden attached to Kailasha hill on the bank of the Mandakini River. Taking advantage of this, they used to drink a kind of liquor called Varuni, accompanied by women singing after them. They would wander in that garden of flowers, their eyes always rolling in intoxication. Wow. Okay, it's not, sounds good, but it's not good. This verse, purport, this verse mentions some of the material advantages afforded to persons associated with or devoted to Lord Shiva. Apart from Lord Shiva, if one is a devotee of any other demigod, one receives some material advantages. Foolish people, therefore, become devotees of demigods. This has been pointed out and criticized by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 7.20. Kamais dice there higher Pita Jana Prapat Yante Nya Devata. Those who are not devotees of Krishna have a taste for women, wine, and so forth, and therefore they have been described as Shrita Yana, bereft of sense. The Krishna consciousness women can carry very easily. The Krishna consciousness women can very easily point out such foolish persons, for they have been indicated in Bhagavad Gita 7.15, where Lord Krishna says, Namam Duskritina Mudha, Upadyante Naradaman, Mayapita Dhyana Asuram Bhavam Asrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among men, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Anyone who is not a devotee of Krishna and does not surrender to Krishna must be considered a Naradama, the lowest of men, the Duskriti, one who always commits sinful activities. Thus, there is no difficulty in finding out who is a third class or fourth class man, for one's position can be understood simply by this crucial test. Is he or is he not a devotee of Krishna? Wow. That's the way to figure out who he is. Why are devotees of the demigods greater in number than the Vaishnavas? The answer is given here. Vaishnavas are not interested in such fourth class pleasures as wine and women, nor does Krishna allow them such facilities. Okay, 1 second. I have to fix this. Second. Text number 4. Within the waters of the Mandakini Ganges, which were crowded with gardens of lotus flowers, the two sons of Kubera would enjoy young girls just like two male elephants enjoying in the water with female elephants. Uh-oh. That's going to be a problem now. People generally go to the Ganges to be purified of effects of sinful life. But here is an example of how foolish persons enter the Ganges to become involved in sinful life. It is not that everyone becomes purified by entering the Ganges. Oh boy, that is a very important statement. Everything spiritual and material depends on one's mental condition. Here it is. Even though they might be bathing in the Ganges, they might be engaged in sinful activities. Very sad. Text 5. Oh, Maharaj Parikshit, by some auspicious opportunity for two boys, the great saint Devarsi Narada once appeared there by chance. Seeing them intoxicated with rolling eyes, he could understand their situation. It is said, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastrikaya, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhikaya. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.54. Wherever Narada Muni goes, any moment at which he appears is understood to be extremely auspicious. It is also said, Brahmanda, Brahmate, Ona, Bhagavan, Bhagyavan, Shiva. Guru Krishna Prasade Bhaya Bhakti Lata Bija. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary system, and some are going down into the lower planetary system. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master. Such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 19.151. Narada appeared in the garden to give the two sons of Kuvera the seed of devotional service, even though they were intoxicated. Wow, that is Narada Muni's mercy. Saintly persons know how to bestow mercy upon the fallen souls. Text number 6. Upon seeing Narada, the naked young girls of the demigods were very much ashamed. Afraid of being cursed, they covered their bodies with their garments. But the two sons of Kuvera did not do so. Instead, not caring about Narada, they remained naked. That means they were so drunk, they didn't know what they were doing. Seeing the two sons of the demigods naked and intoxicated by opulence, false prestige, Devarshi Narada, in order to show them special desired to give them a special curse. Thus he spoke as follows. Now you see that all curses are not necessarily bad. They look bad, but they are made to help people to stop their sinful activities and become serious. Purport. Although in the beginning Narada Muni appeared very angry and cursed, at the end the two demigods, Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, were able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna face to face. Thus the curse was ultimately auspicious and brilliant. One has to judge what kind of curse Narada placed upon them. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives herein a good example. When a father finds his child deeply asleep, but the child has to take some medicine to cure some disease, the father pinches the child so that the child will get up and take the medicine. In a similar way, Narada Muni cursed Malakuvara and Manigriva in order to cure their disease of material blindness. Okay, so therefore, they were pinched. So when you get pinched, it hurts, but it's not devastating. It's just to wake up person to do the right thing. Text 8. Narada Muni said, among all the attractions of material enjoyment, the attraction of riches bewilders one's intelligence more than having beautiful bodily features. taking birth in an aristocratic family and being learned. When one is uneducated but falsely puffed up by wealth, the result is that one engages his wealth in enjoying wine, women, and gambling. Let me just read that again. Narada Muni said, among all the attractions of material enjoyment, the attraction of riches bewilders one's intelligence more than having beautiful bodily features. Taking birth in an aristocratic family and being learned. When one is uneducated or falsely puffed up by wealth, the result is that one engages his wealth in enjoying wine, women, and gambling. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Among the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, people are certainly conducted by the lower qualities, namely passion and ignorance, and especially by passion. Conducted by the mode of passion, one becomes more and more involved in material existence. Therefore, human society is meant for subduing the modes of passion and ignorance and advancing in the mode of goodness. Sadarajas Tamovava, Tamogobadayaschaye, Shita Itar Anavutam, Sipam Satve Siddhati. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.19. This is culture. One must subdue the modes of passion and ignorance. In the mode of passion, when one is falsely proud of wealth, one engages his wealth only for three things, namely wine, women, and gambling. We can actually see, especially in this age, that those who have unnecessary riches simply try to enjoy these three things. In Western civilization, these three things are very prominent because of an unnecessary increase of wealth. Narada Muni considered all this in the case of the Manigriva and Nalakubara, because he found in them so much pride in the wealth of their fathers, in the wealth of their father, Kuvera. Yes. So, therefore, it says, among all the attractions of material enjoyment, the attraction of riches bewilders one's intelligence more than having beautiful bodily features, taking birth in an aristocratic family, and being learned. When one is uneducated but falsely puffed up by wealth, the result is that one engages his wealth in enjoying wine, women, and gambling. Okay. That's really sad. Wine, women, and gambling. Text 9. Unable to control their senses, rascals who are falsely proud of their riches or their birth in aristocratic families are so cruel that to maintain their perishable bodies, which they think will never grow old or die, they kill poor animals without mercy. Sometimes they kill animals merely to enjoy an excursion. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When the modes of passion and ignorance increase in human society, giving rise to unnecessary economic development. Oh, I like that. Unnecessary economic development. The result is that people become involved with wine, women, and gambling. Then, being mad, they maintain big slaughterhouses or occasionally go on the pleasure excursion to kill animals. They go hunting. Forgetting that, however, one may try to maintain the body is subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. Such foolish rascals engage in sinful activities, one after another. Being Euphrates, they completely forget the existence of the supreme controller who is sitting within the core of everyone's heart. Ishvara Sarvabhutana, birthday savor geneticity. That supreme controller is observing every bit of one's activity, and he rewards or punishes everyone by giving one a suitable body made by material nature. Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantrabhutani Mayana. In this way, sinful persons automatically receive punishment in different types of bodies. The root cause of this punishment is that when one unnecessarily accumulates wealth, one becomes more and more degraded, not knowing that his wealth will be finished with his next birth. Nasadu manye yata atmano yam asan apik vesda sudea. Bhagavatam 5.5.4. Animal killing is prohibited. Every living being, of course, has to eat something. Jo jivo jivasya jivan. But one should be taught what kind of food one should take. Therefore, the Ichopanishad instructs, Tena taktena bunjitaha. One should eat whatever is allotted for human beings. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:26, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta bhaktya prayachati tataham bhakti paratam asnami prayatat mana. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept. A devotee, therefore, does not eat anything that would require slaughterhouses for poor. Rather, devotees take prasada of Krishna. Tena taktena punchita. Krishna recommends that one give him patram pushpam phalam toyam, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water. Animal food is never recommended for a human being. Instead, a human being is recommended to take prasada, remnants of food left by Krishna. Yajna sis dasina santo muchyante sarva kilvasai. Bhagavad Gita 3:13. If one practices eating prasada, even if there is some little sinful activity involved, one becomes free from the results of sinful activity. Text 10. While living, one may be proud of one's body. Thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, after death, his body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills poor animals, it satisfies the temporary whims of his body. One does not know that he will suffer in his next birth for such a sinful miscreant. He must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions. I'll just read that again. While living, one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, after death, his body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of his body, one does not know that he will suffer in his next birth. For such a sinful miscreant must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions. Well, all the men and women that go on safaris kill animals, they're big trouble. They don't even realize what bad karma they're going to have by going around and killing poor little animals. In fact, they take these big guns, powerful guns, and they kill rabbits sometimes. The rabbits, when they get afraid, they freeze. And they completely are in what you call afraid. And these guys, they come with these big guns and they kill them. It's terrible. So therefore, that type of killing is not recommended. One should protect the animal, not kill them. Purport. In this verse, the three words, krimi vid vas ma, are significant. After death, the body may become krimi, which means worms, or if the body is disposed of without cremation, it may be eaten by worms, or else it may be eaten by animals like hogs and vultures and be turned into stool. Those who are more civilized burn the dead body, and thus it becomes ashes. Basma some me Yet, although the body will be turned into worms, stool, or ashes, foolish persons, just to maintain it, commit many sinful activities. This is certainly regrettable. The human form of body is actually meant for jiva shuddha vidyas jijnasa, enlightenment in knowledge of spiritual paths. Therefore, one must seek shelter of a bona fide spiritual man. Tasmat gurum prapadyeta. One must approach a guru. Who is a guru? Sabde pare janisnatam. Bhagavatam 11:3-21. A guru is one who has full transcendental knowledge. Unless one approaches a spiritual master, one remains in ignorance. Acharyavan Purusho Veda, Chandogya Upanishad 6.1, 6.14.2. One has full knowledge about life when one is Acharyavan, controlled by the Acharya. But when one is conducted by Rajaguna and Tamaguna, one does not care about anything. Instead, one acts like an ordinary foolish animal, risking his life, mityusam sara vartamani, and therefore continuing to go through suffering after suffering. Natim vidu swatagatim ibishnu. Bhagavatam 7:5-30. Such a foolish person does not know how to elevate himself in his body. Instead, he indulges in sinful activities and goes deeper and deeper into hellish life. I think that time is over. Is that right?
Yeah, we are at time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think we'll stop there. And it says, Acharyavan Purusha Veda, Chandogya Upanishad 6.14.2. One has full knowledge about life when one is Acharyavan, controlled by the Acharya. That's very good. Controlled by the Acharya. But when one is conducted by Raja Guna and Tamo Guna, one does not care about anything. Instead, one acts like an ordinary foolish animal, risking his life, mrityu samsara vartamani, and therefore continuing to go through suffering after suffering. Nate vidu swartagatim Vishnu. Bhagavatam 7:5-30. Such a foolish person does not know how to elevate not how to elevate himself in this body. Instead, he indulges in sinful activities and goes deeper and deeper into hellish life. Terrible. Okay, I think we'll end right there. We're ending deeper and deeper into hellish life. Okay, my dear devotees, are there any questions or comments? Okay, no questions or comments. Our takeaway for today is the following. While living, one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, after death, this body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills for animals to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know that he will suffer in his next birth, for such a sinful miscreant must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions. Okay, and so especially this is directing. This is especially directing those people that go on safaris, where they go and they kill animals unnecessarily. They enjoy it. They enjoy it. So, takeaway for today. While living, one may be proud of one's body. Thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, if one kills or animal to satisfy the temporary whim of this body, that's referring to people who go on safaris and kill animals unnecessarily. One does not know that he will suffer in his next birth. For such a sinful misdeed must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions. There it is. So don't go on any safaris or don't engage in having a big gun and shooting little animals. Very, very bad thing to do. So, therefore, it says here, who is a guru? Samte pare Janishnatam. Bhagavatam 11.3.20. A guru is one who has full transcendental knowledge. Unless one approaches a spiritual master, one remains in ignorance. Acharyavam Purusho Veda, Chandogya Upanishad 6.14.2. One has full knowledge about life when one is Acharyavam, controlled by the Acharya. But when one is conducted by Raja Tamagu, one does not care about anything. Instead, one acts like an ordinary foolish animal, risking his life, Mrityu Samsara Vartamani, and therefore continuing to go through suffering after suffering. Nate Vitu Swatagatem Vishnu. Bhagavatam 7.5-30. Such a foolish person does not know how to elevate himself in this body. Instead, he indulges in sinful activities and goes deeper and deeper into hellish life. Wow. So here is a wake-up call to those people who like to go hunting animals and shooting them and scaring them. It's a very simple thing to do. So, better not to be a foolish person that does sinful things, but think they're doing the right thing and enjoying killing animals. They go into the forest with these big rifles, very high powerful rifles, and they kill poor rabbits. It scares the heck out of the rabbits. In fact, they get so scared that they freeze, and then they're shot by these horrible hunters. Yeah, it's going on even now. It's very terrible. It scares the heck out of these poor little animals, especially the rabbits. And the so-called hunters. Let them go try and kill some lions or something like that. No, they don't know. They don't want to do that. They're just trying to kill rabbits. It's really terrible. Okay, I think we'll stop right there. Are there any questions or comments? Any questions or comments?
Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, of course, Prabhupada.
Yes, Maharaj. My question is, when Nala Kuvera committed an offense, they were immediately cursed by Narad Muni to become trees. So in Kali Yuga, an offense is happening every so often, but we are not cursed right away, like it happened back during those times. Can you explain how it works in this age of offenses that are committed? Thank you.
Okay. Well, it says, Namam Duskritina Mudha Prapadyante Naradana Maya Apita Dhyana Asuram Bhavam Ashrita. Those miscreants who are grossly the lowest among men, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. Anyone who is not a devotee of Krishna and does not surrender to Krishna must be considered Naradama, the lowest of men, and Duskriti, one who always commits sinful activity. Thus, there is no difficulty in finding out who is the third class or fourth class man. For one's position can be understood simply by this crucial test. Is he or is he not a devotee of Krishna? That is the litmus test. Is he or is he not a devotee of Krishna? So now you have a litmus test. Let's say you meet someone and they have a nice car, they have a nice body, they have money. But you can ask the question, are you or are you not a devotee of Krishna? And if they say, I am not a devotee of Krishna, that means that they're third class or fourth class person. For one's position can be understood simply by the crucial test. Is he or is he not a devotee of Krishna? Here it is. So that is a tremendous and simple litmus test to know who you should associate with and who you should not associate with. Thus, there is no difficulty in finding out who is a third class or fourth class man. For one's position can be understood simply by the crucial test. Is he or is he not a devotee of Krishna? So, if he is not a devotee of Krishna, woe is he, because he'll commit so many sinful activities, not even knowing that it's wrong. They think that it's right to go on safaris and kill all kinds of animals. Of course, they try and avoid, really very dangerous animals. They like to kill rabbits and other little animals, and they think that they've done something great. And here it says, why are devotees of the demigods greater in number than the Vaishnavas? The answer is given here. Vaishnavas are not interested in such fourth-class pleasures as wine and women, nor does Krishna allow them such facilities. So why are devotees of the demigods greater in number than the Vaishnavas? The answer is given here in Vaishnavas are not interested in such fourth-class pleasures as wine and women, nor does Krishna allow them such facilities. Okay, so that is the litmus test. The litmus test is are you a devotee or are you not a devotee? If you're not a devotee, that means that you're a discretine, one who always commits sinful activity. Thus, there is no difficulty in finding out who is a third class or fourth class man. For one's position can be understood simply by this crucial test. Is he or is he not a devotee of Krishna? That's a very simple litmus test to know who is a devotee and who is not a devotee. Why are devotees of the demigods greater in number than Vaishnavas? The answer is given here. Vaishnavas are not interested in such fourth-class pleasures as wine and women, nor does Krishna allow them such facilities. Okay. So, I remember once I went to a marriage ceremony of a devotee. Oh, the parents of a devotee. And the parents were also devotees. But during the program, they started drinking wine, even though they're all devotees. And of course, I didn't drink any wine, but I was surprised because they're initiated devotees. But they started to drink wine because it was a marriage ceremony. And after the marriage ceremony was over, they were all sitting around and having dinner. And then they started having wine to celebrate the wedding. I couldn't understand that. I saw that and I was really surprised. Anyway, we'll see everything in this world. They were initiated devotees also. I couldn't understand why they were doing it. So here it says, anyone who is not a devotee of Krishna and does not surrender to Krishna must be considered Naradam, the lowest of men, and Dushkrita, one who always commits sinful activity. Thus, there is no difficulty in finding out who is a third class or fourth class man. For one's position can be understood simply by this crucial test. Is he or is he not a devotee of Krishna? Why are devotees of the demigods greater in number than the Vaishnavas? The answer is given here. Vaishnavas are not interested in such fourth-class pleasures as wine and women, nor does Krishna allow them such facilities. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll stop right there. And we should not be fooled by wedding anniversaries or weddings where people start drinking wine and thinking, oh, well, this is a ceremony and we should celebrate by having some wine. Okay. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Okay, this is something interesting though. It says, who is a guru? Sabde Parochanisnatam. Bhagavatam 11.3.3. A guru is one who has full transcendental knowledge. Unless one approaches a spiritual master, one remains in ignorance. Acharyavan Purusho Veda, Chandogya Upanishad 6.14.2. One has full knowledge about life when one is Acharyavan, controlled by the Acharya. Very clear. But when one is conducted by Raja, when one is
Conducted.
the human form of body is actually meant for jivasya tattva jignasa, enlightenment and knowledge of spiritual value. Therefore, one must seek shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Tasmat guru upadgeta. One must approach a guru. Who is a guru? Sabde para pare janisnatam. Bhagavatam 11.3.20. A guru is one who has full transcendental knowledge. Unless one approaches a spiritual master, one remains in ignorance. Acharyavam Purusho Veda, Chandogya Upanishad 6.14.2. One has full knowledge about life when one is Acharyavan, controlled by the Acharya. But when one is conducted by Rajaguna, one is Acharyavan, controlled. But when one is conducted by Rajaguna and Tamaguna, one does not care about anything. Instead, one acts like an ordinary foolish animal, risking its life. Mrityu samsara vartmani, and therefore continuing to go through suffering after suffering. Nate vidu swatagatim vibhishnam. Such foolish person does not know how to elevate himself in this body. Instead, he indulges in sinful activities and goes deeper and deeper into hellish life. Wow. That is our takeaway for today. That's why it says, the verse says, while living, one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, after death, this body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know that he will suffer in his next life or his next birth. For such a sinful miscreant must go to hell and suffer the results of his actions. Wow, we should print a few little print some paper and hand it out to hunters. And it should say, If one kills 4 animals to satisfy the temporary whims of his body, one does not know that he will suffer in his next birth, for such a sinful miscreant must go to hell and suffer the results of his action. There it is, right there. So don't go on any safari with you. Very bad thing to do. Don't kill animals. Leave the animals alone. Okay, well, I think we will stop there unless somebody has a question or a comment. Okay, all glories to Sheila Prabhupada. There's so many nice things, statements here. Yeah, I might go back a couple of pages. Yeah. I think we can start from text 6. Mark.
Okay.
Okay. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,